Psalm 14. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And whither I go, ye know, and the way ye know.
It's about time, man, because I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to get the kingdom. I'm ready to live. I'm ready to breathe fresh. I'm ready to have beautiful, pure women, okay? Not no strawberry hollows on this side. I'm ready to have children, man, you can vibe with, okay? Be around brothers. Be around the Lord himself, okay? I'm ready to go and visit places in the galaxy that we didn't know exist, all right? I'm ready to walk on sandy beaches, man, and explore the ocean floors. I'm ready to fly, okay? I'm ready to eat real food, okay? I'm ready to drive a chariot, man. All right, I'm ready to minister to the Lord and to be ministered to, man. Okay, I'm ready to worship Yahweh Shai in its full entirety. Okay, I'm ready for it. We're ready, man. I'm ready to see angels and greet angels.
But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit. But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful that got there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakadash, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and what I want to get into with this lesson, dealing with how everyone is playing their part. There's nothing that's happening, that the Lord had preordained and predestined, on the left hand, all right, and the right hand, okay? So when you look at everything that's happening, we have to know that this was all, orchestrated by a higher power, and it's all for his perfect, righteous will. The good and the bad play against each other for the perfect will of the Lord, okay, to play out in the planet Earth, and it's beautiful, to understand these things, and it makes us more appreciative, and understanding these things, we shouldn't be proud. There's no one that can truly understand, predestination and be proud, because we understand that we're at the Lord's mercy. It was him that decided, to allow us to understand his word, for brothers that can teach, to be able to teach. It was the Lord's good will that we're able to do this thing, the gift of faith. Why scriptures refer to what faith as a gift, the gift of faith, So it was a gift. Well, who's giving the gift? You see? It's Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. So let's let me see, boy. Get this real quick. So you go into Yeah, let's get this word orchestrate. Let's get this word orchestrate. So you go here to the definition of orchestrate. It says in slang and informal speech. All right, orchestrate means to secretly or cleverly plan a complex scheme, set up, all right, or pull strings behind the scenes to make a specific event happen. It is often used when someone sets up a dramatic situation, a prank, or a setup. Okay, so just reading it again, it says in slang, an informal speech, orchestrate means to secretly or cleverly plan a complex scheme. You see, and that's why the scripture where he revealed his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. You see, so the Lord has a cleverly, plan, complex, all right, plan that we're seeing playing out in the earth. That's why, you had the brothers, Elder Ariala out of Dallas and Elder Kwame out of London come up with what? The algorithms, dealing with the mark of the beast, dealing with the Third World War, because there's a lot of things happening at the same time. All right, it's going to culminate in the will of the Lord playing out. Okay. It says to secretly or cleverly plan a complex scheme, set up or pull strings behind the scenes to make a specific event happen. You see, and that's what the Lord is doing, because we don't see the angels playing on the mind, all right, of these leaders, but we know what's happening. You see, we don't see the angels holding the wind back, the destruction back, but we know what's happening. You see, so there's things that we don't see, screens being pulled behind the scenes in the spiritual realm, okay, that's making things play out in the earth, man. Okay, so when you go from there, let's get this in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 6 and verse 10. So let's go here, Ecclesiastes 6 and 10. It says, everything has already been decided. It was known long ago what each person would be. So there's no use arguing with the Most High about your destiny. And what we're saying with Esau, with this New World Order, he's trying to argue. He's trying to argue about his destiny. No. It's already been decided. Esau was decided to be the wicked. Okay, in the Most High's movie, he was decided. All right, the Lord decided that he was going to be the nation that he hates. Okay, that's why you go here. Let's get this. And you go to Romans, showing you these things are already decided. The elect is the elect. Okay, like Jonah, Jonah could not be a prophet. And then on the flip side, Judah could not be a betrayer. Okay, Judas could not be a betrayer. Okay, it was nothing he could do to alter that his destiny, man. Nothing Jonah could do to alter his destiny, man. The Lord wanted him to prophesy. He had to prophesy, man. You see? This is the book of Romans chapter 9. And verse 11 said, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of the Most High according to election might stand, not of works, but of him they call it. You see that? So for the children, this is speaking with Jacob and Esau. So before they was even born, neither having done any good or evil, the purpose of the Most High. You see, we're seeing the purpose of the Lord play out in the earth. Okay? People can give credit to this and give credit to that, but ultimately, we're seeing the purpose of the Lord play out. We're seeing the purpose of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai play out real time in the earth, man. Okay? Everything that's happening on the left, everything Esau is attempting to do is playing into the Lord's purpose. He raised a prophet up in these latter days. It plays into the Lord's purpose, man. He raised the prophets up, okay, at the end when Esau will go for his move with this New World Order, man. You see, showing you that this thing is time. And that's another thing. As we see how things play out, we see, the Lord's timing. You know, it's another thing we become in tune with in the truth. You know, is that the Lord God has impeccable timing. You know, his timing is perfecto. Okay. And it says that the purpose of the Most High according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger, as it is written, Jacob have I loved and Esau have I hated. And there's nothing that can be done about that. You know? And there's a remnant of Jacob in these latter days whom the Lord has caused to come back to him. And it was predestined for that. Just as Esau was predestined to be hated, because let's go dealing with Esau. And we always get it. Okay. Just show you what predestination. You go to Malachi chapter 1. Because this is where, all right, the Apostle Paul is pulling this precept. Okay, matter of fact, let's read Malachi 1:1 said, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. It says, I have loved you, said the Lord, yet you say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? And the Lord said the Lord, yet I loved Jacob and hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Now he's saying this before Esau will come into power. This is during the time of the Medo-Persian Empire. Okay, and Esau then come into power to the Greeks, and then when the Greeks came in after the Romans came in after the Greeks, then the Most High laid his heritage waste, causing the fall of the Western Roman Empire ruled by Esau. Okay, because the Greeks got absorbed by the Romans. You see, but the Lord laid Esau heritage waste during the time of the fall of Western Rome. You see, so showing you that the kingdom of Rome, all right, which at its peak, you had this thing called Rome forever, or eternal Rome. Edomites thought Rome was forever. Okay, but it failed, and it was written to fall. It was written to come into power, and it was written to fall. Okay, now let's go here to verse 4. So showing you what predestination. That's why the Lord is able. And that's how the Lord shows his power. He's able to tell you, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. And then it play out exactly as he said. Malachi 1:4, Esau's descendants in Edom may say, we have been shattered, but we will rebuild the ruins. And that's the reason Esau was able to have a renaissance. You see, Esau in his pride, he prides himself off, his science and his enlightenment, and, his conquest, and, he's been able to be advanced with the sword. Okay, he equates his rulership to that. No, the Lord wrote your rulership. He spoke it. Had the prophets and scribes, scribe these things down. Okay, but the Most High spoke your rulership into existence, the Renaissance. And we have been shattered, Esau. Okay, doing what they call the Dark Ages, when his ass was pushed on the outskirts of civilization, man. Okay, nigga couldn't even take a bath. You see, but the Lord said what? But we will rebuild the ruins, and that's the Lord grant permission for Esau to have a renaissance. Okay, but the Lord of Heaven's armies, it says, but the Lord of Heaven's armies replies, they may try to build, but I will demolish them again. They said their country will be known as a land of wickedness, and their people will be called the people with whom the Lord is angry forever, man, and to this day. The Lord has an anger against these Edomites, and we're seeing it more and more. We're seeing that hatred for Esau more and more. Okay? But the Lord said that they will try to rebuild. See, now they're trying to rebuild within their kingdom. They're trying to build a new world order within this kingdom, and this is what the Lord's getting ready to demolish. You see, he's trying to extend his rulership, man, but he hasn't been given permission to do that. Okay, Esau, his system where you got to get permissions, and certificates to do every goddamn thing. Well, the Lord ain't give this nigga permission to build no new world order. He gave him permission to attempt it. That's why we know he's going to get so far. Okay? But the devil doesn't have permission to rule out of a new world order. No, the Lord's going to cut him short. You see? And these things were predestined. You see, just like you have an elect. Okay? Just like you have an elect that's predestined. And we always get it. Go to the book of Ephesians. All right, it's the book of Ephesians, chapter 1, and verse 3 says, "Blessed be the power and Father of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, who have blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places." Okay, in heavenly places, according as he have chosen us in him before the foundation of the world. You see that? So we're blessed in heavenly places, which is in the spiritual realm. And that's where the Lord is behind the scene, pulling the strings, okay, for specific events, to play out in the earth. You see, and there's a lineage of people, there's a remnant of that people in this time that's blessed in heavenly places, man. And those blessings are going to, manifest in the earth. You see, that authority, that rulership, those new bodies. You see, all those things are going to manifest right here in the earth. And there was a predestination for that. It says, according as he have chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love. And how without blame? Through that sacrifice. Even that was predestined. This lamb slain before the foundation of the world. Okay, so we set up for Yahushua to do that from the foundation. Of children by Yahushua HaMashiach to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. According to the good pleasure of his will. You see, it's all according to the good pleasure of his will. The Lord did this just cause, man. You see, he chose a nation of people to love, okay, for himself just cause. He chose a remnant out of those people to be pardoned in these last days just cause, man, because it's his good pleasure. Okay, and he has a perfect plan. That's another thing. We got to trust in the Lord's perfect plan. It's all figured out. Certain things that don't make sense, you got to remember, the Lord sees farther than we do, way farther. You see? It's not like Esau, things you're going to throw up a bunch of cameras and you, I'm the Most High. Okay? Throw some cameras every goddamn, I'm the Most High, man. You see, the Most High see far beyond what we can see. And he has this thing mapped out. It's already mapped out. When we get there, the plan was already, the provisions are already there. Even in Jacob's trouble, we have to understand the provisions are already there. Okay? The provisions is already set up. Okay? So we have to just fully trust, man. You see that the Lord got this thing mapped out, man. And it's been like that from the beginning. You see? That's why you can only come, everybody is in their role. Esau, Edom. When you look at how this nigga move, well, he can't operate outside. Okay? He can't operate outside of prophecy. When you go to Revelation 6 and 4, it says, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given him that set thereon to take peace from the earth. And this is Esau. And he can't operate outside that. That's why we know the solution, which is already predestined, is this nigga being removed from power. You see? That's the solution. And see, we have a comfort because it's written. Okay? We know the devil have the end. His rulership has the end, and even him as a nation have the end. And that's a comfort, and it's already set up and predestined. Okay? But when you go into the scriptures, Esau can't operate outside this. They at least can't do nothing else but this. Take peace from the earth. and that they should kill one another. They're always in wars, even with each other. Okay, and there was given unto him a great sword. Yeah. So the weaponry, through military, through, his psychology, because he has studied the mind, the spirit, because really when you study the subconscious, you study the spirit. Okay. So the devil has studied, psychology, study of the spirit, just to weaponize it, man. You see? And that's all he can do. That's how he's made. That's how he's built. That's why, you look at someone that march, concerning Esau protest. Well, you're doing it for nothing. Okay, because let's go here. Esau true to this, man. Okay. This is Jeremiah 13:23 saying the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leper his spot. Then may ye also do good that are accustomed to do evil. Then may ye also do good that are accustomed to evil. Esau can't do that, man. He's accustomed to do evil. He's predestinated for wickedness, man, to be the wicked. Okay? And he don't care about being called out about it. Esau gonna do what he gonna do, man, and be the wicked. So Ethiopian can't change his skin, which you can't change your nationality, or the leper his spots. You see, leper he's made like he's made. Okay, leper can't, leper can't go change outfits. No, it was predestined. You see, and people marching and crying on TikTok. Esau not gonna change outfits, man. He is the wicked. All right, he has a tailor-made wicked spirit. Okay, that's gonna do what they do until he stop, man. Okay, so let's go there, because just as you have, Esau, well, concerning the true Israelites who are predestined, we will fall away from who we were, not be called by Israelites, but by word that was all written in the curses. Okay, it's a punishment, man, and we're living through these things. Okay, but then there's prophecy. Wait, don't count us out yet. You see? So through predestination, you can't count out Israel. The Lord got a deal, with their remnant that will be raised up in these latter days. Hosea 1:10, he said, yet the number of children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power. Okay, so it was prophesied. It was already predestined for us to become like a no people. Okay, Latinos, Jamaicans, niggas. Okay, and Native American. That's a no people. The Lord doesn't reverence those names. The Lord, okay, established us as 12 tribes who represent one nation, the nation of Israel. And you have a remnant that's what? Coming back to that. And it was predestined, like we read earlier, to come back to that. Okay, so in the place where it said, you are not my people here in America, there shall be said unto them, you are the sons of the living power. Now, it's known of who the true Israelites are. Okay, that's known now. Now it's not going to be, recognized in this society with the Lord. Okay, he's going to enforce that. Yahushua is going to come and enforce that, man. But the fact that, we're being called Israelites, even if it's just amongst us, hey, you see, it's reverence amongst, the body that we the sons of the living power. Okay, you women, being the daughters, man, you're of their lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man. And there's men, women, and children of their lineage that's been raised up for salvation. And there's nothing that can be done to undo that. Okay, the Lord promised he will raise up the prophet. You have the prophets on the scene. Okay, because it's prophesied. You see, Daniel 12, all right, and 13, it says, but go thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest, meaning he will die, and stand in thy lot at the end of days. So it was promised, okay, which is the angel speaking to Daniel, the angel speaking on behalf of the Heavenly Father. Okay, and he's telling the Lord, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot. All right, at the end of the days. Now you get this word, stand. All right, let's jump down. And the Hebrew word for stand is amad. All right, amad. So when you go into it, what we at? Here we go. So you go to definition F for amad, for the word stand, standing in his lot. It says to arise. Okay. It says to appear, to come on the scene. So Daniel will come back on the scene in his lot as well, a prophet. Okay. To stand forth, to come on the scene. Okay. To be appointed. Okay. To appear. You see? So Daniel will appear on the scene. Why? Is the same spirit in a new body, reincarnation. He will come on the scene as a prophet. Because when we were awakened to the truth, we came on the scene. You see, that's when that's that spirit, okay, was what stirred up in us, and we came on the scene as a prophet. Okay, and it was all set up in the beginning. See, that's not just for Daniel, that's for all the prophets. It's predestined, all right, to come back in that fashion, to come back on the scene as what, as a prophet, what, in the last days. 1 Corinthians 14 and 32, it said, for the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. For the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets, man. Okay? So that's not only for Daniel, but all the prophets. You see, these things are predestined. All right? Everything that we see happening is predestined. And it's playing out to the will of the Lord. And it shows that he is, and seeing predestination play out, should be a constant faith booster, man. And that's why we know everything that the devil is doing is in vain. Okay? That's why ain't nothing this nigga doing, okay, is impressive. Because we know how his power, Esau draws his power from Satan. Okay? Well, Satan is what? An entity of Salaki. Okay, Satan is a servant of the Most High, doing his will on the left hand side. So there's nothing that's happening outside the will of Yahweh Shema Shai. Okay. Revelation 12 and 7 says there was war in heaven. And this is speaking of the war in the atmosphere. This is the climax of this third world war, where everything that we're seeing happening is building up to. He said Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. Okay? So what we're seeing, all right, is the build up to this climax. That's why, this back and forth between America and Iran is going to lead to the war in heaven. We're watching that narrative has started. That the fighting that's going to lead to the war in heaven has already started. Okay, because of what? Ezekiel 38. All right, Isaiah 13. Okay, the small has the least of the flock shall draw them out. You see. So when we look at everything that's happening, This was leading to this war in heaven, in the atmosphere, where Yahweh Shai, all right, along with Michael and the rest of the archangels and the heavenly host, are going to fight against Esau's military and these heathens, man. Okay, he's going to fight Rome. So this time, Yahweh Shai, he was meant to be a sacrifice in pagan Rome. Okay, in ancient Rome, but now he's coming to wage war with this Rome. Okay, and Esau's not going to prevail. That's why I say, and prevail not. Neither was their place found in heaven anymore. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him, man. Yeah, so Esau Edom, which he's the devil, which is the deceiver. Okay, he comes in the spirit of Satan. You see, and he deceived the whole world. All right, the earth is filled with the lies of Esau, man. The deception of Esau. You know, he's even fooled these, all right, simple as heathens to think that he can pull off a technocracy and undermine the Most High, man. Okay? Well, in that day, he's going to be found out to be a liar, man. All right? Okay? He's not going to be able to hold up to true power. Okay? And your militaries are going to be disintegrated with his. Okay? It says that his angels were cast out. You know, the military, man. Mainly that these air forces of the world. You know, Esau prides himself with that air force. You know, and it says, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength of the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before the Most High day and night. Yeah, man. So this how this is. You know, because this is our salvation. It's a war in heaven, but then it's also our salvation because we're delivered in the midst of this, man. As Yahweh Shai comes back to judge the nation, beginning with Esau Edom through war. Okay, and the accuser, you see, because this devil, his system, a major part of his system is accusing the tribes, man. Okay, making us a scapegoat, you know, in his kingdom, and where he does the most wicked. Okay, but he's able to, you know, accuse Jake. You know, but see, it's only so long he's going to be able to do that. And there's a remnant that's blameless that you can't accuse. Okay, and Yahweh Shai is going to come, okay, and usher in the righteous kingdom, man. And it's all predestined. So everyone is playing their part, okay, in the midst of this, man. There's no one operating on their own accord, doing their own thing, man. So that's the point. Just wanted to get into that, Lord will, you brothers. All right, and you few sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful Shalom.